So I think, obviously, you know, the blue team, was it the blue team? Blue team more or less won, didn't you? I would say, safe to say. So, does it?
Depends on how you look at it.
Nuclear annihilation, the blue team won.
The red team like to think that they got the moral high ground.
But you can be seen in the dark now from space. So, if the red team wants to elect a spokesman to just talk over how they, you know, some of the events, and it could be 2 or 3 people, you know, over, you know, the start of this morning, what they found, and some of the scripts they used, how they protected the reactors, how they defended. So, does anybody want to start on that? On the red team?
Yeah, I'll have a little go. Go on.
And you can
Do I
ask
need this?
You can, yeah, just hold it there. You can ask his questions as well.
Oh, right, okay. Well, it was a tough start for us this morning, you know, being sort of dropped in, not kind of knowing, you know, which way, you know, was up. So, you know, our rough plan was probably the same as, you know, the other team here as well. Just to try and, like, scan our network and try and figure out what, you know, servers belonged to us and what roles they, you know, had. So, yeah, we cracked on with that this morning. Found a bunch of web servers that looked like they needed to be secured, so we sort of split it up between us the best we sort of could. And sort of, you know, each person sort of tried to secure one server, and I think we did a reasonable job, possibly. We're looking at the other team here to see whether or not we did do a reasonable job or not on that. Yeah, so once we sort of got our hosts and, you know, got everything configured, you know, changed the passwords, lock it down the best we could, we sort of went on the attack, trying to sort of, you know, do a bit of recon on the other team's network, which again, pretty tricky really, because most of the time we were sort of stuck in the dark, not knowing, you know, what the other ranges were and all this sort of business as well. So, you know, we tried to work together the best we could. You know, if anyone had a sort of a clue or anything, we tried to sort of get that on the board, you know, so that everyone sort of knew what the score was. In terms of sort of attacking the other team, I think we did all right. We managed to get full access to their web server, managed to get an RDP session as administrator on there, and we managed to do that by uploading a backdoor. So we uploaded the backdoor, connected to it, created ourselves another user, an RDP'd as the sort of new user we'd created, installed FTP, had a good sort of browse around their server, got all sorts of interesting files, including things like we later discovered the password for one of their core reactors, the old Fu Manchu business that we discovered. We also got access to the mail server as well. I think just by working quickly, that's what kind of gained us access there. And once we had, you know, a way in, it was, you know, we added like we added our own SSH key so we could sort of connect again, added backdoor users, and just sort of raided it the best we could. You know, doing things like, you know, trying to crack any passwords we found along the way, like the CEO one, for example. Have I missed anything? What other things did we do today? I can't quite remember now. What else did we do? Looking at my team.
What's your strategy? How do you get it up front? What's your strategy to this thing?
What, to the attacking or to the defence part?
Both.
Well, the best we could sort of do was trying to sort of split the team up a little bit to try and, you know, make sure we weren't sort of tripping over each other's feet, you know, when we were doing, you know, reconnaissance and that sort of thing. So kind of split it up, kind of talk to each other. That was basically it, really, I think. Yeah.
And then when we had our team meeting, we turned around and we discovered that our power plants were about to explode.
Yes, not so good. No, not so good. Not so good. Which is really annoying because at lunchtime today, myself and someone else, we actually talked about the method we ultimately used, or that was used to destroy the reactors, which is kind of annoying, really. We should have followed that up a little bit more. So
By when you kind of got the access to the firewalls, what did you do with them? If anything?
access to the firewall, that would have been nice. Yeah.
You never asked.
I did. Right, Danny, where is he? I think we got the IP of it, and I don't know what happened there. I asked him for the username password, and he ran out of the room, never to be seen again. So.
You never asked for it, really.
Okay.
Ask it in the correct way, in French.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I think the way we kind of went was like, if you tell us what it is, and we'll give you access to it.
Okay. Well, I think we did discover it, but
I think he said chase me when he ran out of the room.
Did he say chase me? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm blaming someone else here, obviously. You know. So yeah, they could have been. We could have done slightly better there. I think perhaps then, obviously.
What about social engineering?
Oh, well, we sucked at that, right, Rawley, and I really hope to find out in a minute the other team did as well. The old reporter trick was brilliant.
She misspelled my surname.
Brilliant. Where is she? She's gone, is she? She's not here. Brilliant.
She's gone back to work.
I mean, that was a work of genius, really. Right fell for it, because I was sort of thinking, what's the name of the building we're in? It's 21 something. And she said, I'm from 21 something or other magazine. I was like, all right. Okay, she looked the part as well, so. It worked. And we did fall for that, right, Rawley? Did the other team fall for it?
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So what's your best achievement sort of in defending and attacking? What are you proud of?
Well, the full access we gained on the couple of servers, that was pretty good. And I'd like to think we did a reasonable job in securing the servers first thing this morning as well, hopefully.
That made quite an impact.
Yeah.
The speed and the rest of the day, in fact, that made a massive difference.
Especially the web server.
Oh, that's cool. Good. Yeah. I mean, obviously if we were to do this again tomorrow, we'd have a much clearer strategy and we'd know what we were doing, really. I think we sort of floundered slightly at the beginning of the day, sort of not doing, what are the first things we need to do? So I guess that's the point, though. I guess that's the point while we're here, so.
Hear briefly from Ryan about that's a different team. Was it?
Oh.
These are reds. These are reds. So what would be the one or two things you'd really do differently?
I have more of a plan, first thing this morning. I think there was a good half an hour, good hour of sort of going, what is it that we need to be doing here? So, more of a plan straight on. And perhaps in some way we could have worked together. It's quite hard with so many people in the team to be able to sort of work and communicate properly. And also we fell into this paste bin business as well, assuming it was private. So, not so good.
So we need the time's approaching, so can we hear from the
Please.
blue team? And Ryan, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, go for it. Let us talk. It'd be useful for the other team to hear your
So shall I just talk about, do you want to talk about, I can just talk about the reactors bit, and can you talk about the rest?
Yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the reactors bit, and Jim is going to finish with the rest. He's got a better whole picture view. Okay, so I spent the morning looking at our own reactors. We had 4 IP addresses, all of which were running telnet. So we telnetted into them, and then it's like, hey, here's a nuclear reactor. What would you like to do? Make it warmer, make it cooler, and just so no password. So the first thing we did was set a password on that. And later on in the afternoon, I found a range of IP addresses in a packet capture that was on the paste site. And when I scanned those IP addresses, I was like, hey, this is exactly what we've got, but it's their ones. But they haven't noticed that it's got telnet running without a password. So the first thing I did was telnet to those and say, okay, would you like to warm up? So one of the things we did was we made a script that monitored our own reactors and tried to keep them at 50. And we used the same script to monitor the opposing team's reactors and try and keep them over 100. So we thought we were doing pretty well, but then suddenly the percentages went down and sirens went off, and we realized that our reactors were heating up. And looking on the firewall, we could see that the web interface to the reactors was being used. Like, oh, but we don't know the password. How are we going to counteract that? So the first thing we did was we just had our script running several times a second, saying cool down, cool down. Well, red team was saying warm up, and that kind of worked, but it wasn't ideal. And then we blocked their access to the. We couldn't gain access to the web server they were using, but we blocked them at the firewall, so in between. And suddenly they were still hammering it. We could see them still sending the packets, but they weren't getting through. So then our percentages go back out to 100, and all our reactors were fine. But it was pretty close. They got pretty high along the way. Is there anything else about the reactors to ask? Jim, do you want to? Okay. Jim told me it was a PCAP file.
I'll join you.
Okay.
So with the PCAP files, obviously throughout the day we saw new content being added to the pastebin site. There was some base64 encoded files on there. When I ran file against them, once it already coded, it's a 7-zip archive, extracted that, and it's a text file and a PCAP. So there's 2 lots of those. I believe that's where that PCAP came from, wasn't it?
Right.
Yes. So I think one contained an image, cybersecurity challenge image, and I think the other one then contained the details that we use to royally own their reactors.
So the other one was a text file, and then if you look through it, it was a web page, and hidden in a comment on the web page was ROT13 encoded. It said, "Have a look at this range of IP addresses." So I did, and that was your reactors.
Just to point out, it was available to most teams. You know, up until that point where they found the PCAP, the other team were winning. You were deeper in their network than the other way around, and they found that one big weakness.
And you have locked down the network.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan. Well done.
So I guess, yeah, it was great having a team of dedicated reactor technicians. I think that probably saved our bacon, to be quite honest, and sort of won the game for us. But going back to sort of the general sort of approach we took, first part was discovery. So we scanned our networks, looking for hosts, tried to update our diagram. I think it's fair to say that the big challenge is communications and keep that information going amongst the team. We definitely got a lot better at that as the day went on. It was quite difficult to start with, but that got better. We hardened the host where we could, so I think there was a limited amount of installing patches, but mostly changing passwords, particularly with the reactor interfaces. There were some systems that were stymied where we couldn't actually get onto our own systems, but we used firewalls to block off the opponents at that point. As it's already been pointed out, we had some automatic management of the reactors with the script to try and maintain those a little bit better than a human probably could. When we discovered our firewall, it's quite effective at keeping the other guys out. But I think the technology challenge of like learning that sort of IP tables, I don't think we had anyone who was a real expert on that, but we definitely rose to that as the day went on. And network monitoring using TCP dump on the firewall to see the hostile packets coming in. That allowed us to respond to that. So that kind of covers off our defence. On the attacking side, again, discovery. Once we sort of worked out what their range was from the briefing notes, we scanned for the opponent's hosts. We didn't get too much of a toehold in their network, but we royally owned that web server. We removed the web server software off it. We changed the domain name. We added accounts to it. We put backdoors on it. It was, well and truly ours by the end of the day. So that was, from there we managed to get a little further, but we didn't really sort of get deep into the network, pivoting from there. But we downloaded lots of files off it, dumped the hashes off the Windows system. The other big success we had is we managed to get into the MySQL database for pastebin. So while we didn't actually delete
I didn't expect any. I left the back door there, and I thought, well, maybe someone will.
Well, it was you, Chris, wasn't it, who got that? So we haven't deleted, as our CEO asked, all his emails, but we certainly could if we wanted to. So that was a nice little bonus on top there. As pointed out, we used the modified reactor control script that we had to give them a warm glow. Trying to think of what. So and we had a look at some of the sort of the little side challenges that appeared on pastebin. So of the 1,000 MD5 hashes, we cracked 574 of those. So that wasn't too bad. We downloaded an image from another one, cybersecurity challenge sort of image, couple of green screen monitors and a logo.
What was that, sorry?
There was an image in one of the PCAP files, which we exported from it. I didn't see any EXIF data, but I didn't look for any stego. That would have been the next step, but
There's nothing in that one.
yeah.
There's one word stuff in.
Usually there's a subtle clue, so I didn't spend too much time examining that one. But obviously we could have. think the only other sort of notable sort of exercise we have was with the mail server. Obviously, Red Team managed to get on there, so there was a bit of firefighting on there. Once we identified it was compromised, we logged everyone else off. We disabled the unknown accounts, and we added firewall rules in an attempt to keep everyone out. But yeah, they definitely got the drop on us over that one. But